Well, speaking of demons and traps,
Yes.
Daniel watched a movie.
Yes, I watched the movie from Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood. I had actually seen kind of clips from this movie throughout the years. Came out in the mid 90s. If you had HBO like I did growing up, you probably saw it pop up on there. They might have shown it
I
on.
didn't have HBO, and I want to say it popped up a couple of times on like FX or Sci-Fi or something.
Yeah, maybe even Comedy Central. Um, but yeah, so this movie, it was part of. It's the second movie in like a failed attempt by Tales from the Crypt to do an anthology movie series, like very much like the TV show. Because this movie bombed. Um, it's so the basic premise of the movie is you've got the movie opens up kind of like an Indiana Jones movie where you see these guys going traipsing through the jungle, and they're led by a guy named Vincent, who is played by a little person actor, Phil Fondacaro, and I've seen him in other movies. He so they enter this tomb of a vampire named Lilith, who is the basically the queen of the vampires, and she's played by Angie Everhart, who she was an old model who became an actress, and she was in a lot of these B movies throughout the 90s. Um, and so he brings her. So Vincent brings Lilith back to life because he's got her heart, which is cut up into four pieces. And he brings the pieces back together, and then she puts the heart back in, and then she's revived. And then you come to find out that Vincent's actually working for this televangelist named Reverend J.C. Current, who's played by Chris Sarandon. Most people remember him from The Princess Bride. He was the king from
Oh,
that
okay.
movie. Yeah. And he was married to Susan Sarandon at one time. And so and his whole thing is that so what ends up happening is uh, they start a bordello in a funeral home basically in the back or basement of a funeral home. And JC's whole thing is he's trying to get rid of these wicked fornicating sinners, and how he does it by having a whorehouse filled with vampires. um, and Lilith, her whole thing is she uh, she she literally rips men's hearts out and eats them. Like, no, some obvious symbolism there. She literally eats their heart out. Um, but what really gets the movie going is JC's assistant, Catherine, who's played by Erica Liniak, who most people remember her from Baywatch. She was also she's the girl who pops out of the cake in Under Siege.
Hmm.
If if you've seen the movie, you know which scene I'm talking about. But so her what happens is her brother, who's played by Corey Feldman, decides to frequent the bordello, but then he goes missing, and she can't get the police to help her out. So just so happens to be Dennis Miller. Just so happens to be sitting in the police station. He plays what was his name? Rafe Gutman, who's a private investigator. He kind of plays him very sarcastic, kind of smarmy. He kind of reminded me of Bill Murray in Ghostbusters, kind of a similar personality type.
That tracks, yeah.
Yeah. And so she so Catherine reluctantly hires Gutman to find her brother. And then of course that's where it all takes off. And then, Gutman goes to the Bordello and he finds out that there are vampires, and and hijinks ensue, and the most Tales from the Crypt way. So I think the movie is it's kind of a fun watch. I mean, if you're into like horror comedy, because it is a pure horror comedy, I would say.
Which is always a hard genre to sell people on.
It is, yeah. Joe Bob Briggs always says that the key to a good horror comedy is that it's 80% horror and 20% comedy. And I think this movie fits that ratio pretty well, because Dennis Miller is like the 20%. That's the comedy.
Right. He's a character who you could write to be very straight-laced, but he's just very sarcastic.
Right. Yeah. So from that standpoint, it was really good. And the whole setup I thought was kind of, it's kind of a funny little setup where like you have having a televangelist who, creates a whorehouse full of vampires to get, the evil fornicating sinning men. And by the way, yeah, JC is very much he's definitely one of those televangelists that gives Christianity a bad name.
The Joel Osteen types.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I will say, like, probably the running time was probably the biggest detriment of the movie, because it was, like 88 minutes. And they could have probably expanded the lore maybe a little bit, because one glaring plot hole in there is that how they keep Lilith in line is that they have this like talisman type thing that they call a key, and like when she touches it, it burns her. And it's like, okay, well, what does the key do? How does it keep her in line? Like, how do they use it to to keep them from keep her from killing them? Well, in the words of Critical Drinker, don't know. And it's not like destroying the key would kill her, because actually destroying the key actually sets her free. So it's like, what's the point? But other than that, I mean, it's if this is your cup of tea, a movie like this, then I definitely recommend it. Currently on Shudder. So is the other Tales from the Crypt movie called Demon Knight, which I have not seen that movie. But apparently, from what I've heard, Dennis Miller is not proud of this movie.
Huh. Like, okay, so I caught it on TV at least once, and I don't remember it super well, aside from the sarcastic way he, after he slept with some character, I forget who, like just his morning after persona was just very sarcastic.
Yeah.
And also the final scene where the way they deal with the villain is definitely one of the most, like, I feel like the whole movie was written as an excuse plot to get to that moment.
Probably, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
like as a visual, that is wildly creative.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And what's interesting too is I looked up like the people who were behind the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The story was actually, it said the story credits were Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis.
Huh.
Yeah. Which I would not expect those two guys to be involved with something like this.
Yeah, that's I guess everybody, like, if you're in the creative industry, you eventually want to stretch your arms and do something weird every once in a while. But
that's true. Yeah.
They definitely did something weird.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
But overall, would you recommend it to people?
I would recommend it for it's not for everybody, I don't think, because there is quite a lot of like I found the violence is kind of meant to be comedic, but there might be some people who get a little like weirded out by it, like Lilith taking a bite out of a human heart might get a little some people be like a little and there is
could be
and there's quite a bit of nudity too. But if none of that stuff bothers you, I'd give this movie a watch.
was about to say, I don't remember there being any nudity. Then I remember the keywords that I probably watched on Sci-Fi Channel or FX. So
Yeah, and then
there
all
you
that
go.
was blurred out. Yeah, yeah, they cut it all out. Yeah. But yeah, I'd give it a watch. Yeah, it's fairly entertaining. Yeah.
Yep.